On the Fringe with Dan RadioStyle. Hope everybody out there's having themselves a great day. A lot is going on still to this day right now, just creeping up and creeping up. And it made me really dawn on the fact that I think these are the days right before the storm. Now, we've heard him talk about Red October. I wonder what that's in reference to, but the way things are going, I'm a little nervous that maybe it's going to lead to violence, and that's part of what I think the deep state wants to see is certainly more violence. I was talking to my older brother recently, and he is very just super hard left and has just got no thoughts of anything other than Russia collusion and the coup and all these things. So we got that whole side going. They're talking EMP attacks. We're talking about how things are moving with Durham and all of the figuring out the deep state and how they were spying on Trump. There is an insane amount of stuff going on. And it's truly an information war that is happening right now. He said, she said, this, that. This guy here on the right, Biden, can change his mind anytime he wants. But let's talk about some of the crazy stuff that's going on. One, right off the bat, former JAG officer Richard Black is warning of a potential military coup. Now, in this extremely important video, which we are not going to watch, this guy's from the Schiller Institute conference, which I guess concluded September 6th. This former Virginia state senator and judge advocate general Richard Black finds that those retired generals now active against Donald Trump are in violation of Section 88 of the Military Code of Justice. You are not allowed to do that when you're in the military, period, at all. End of story. Kind of interesting how that plays out. Now, we do have a bit of a snippet coming up from Trump as to why some of these generals may not like him. But for the time being, let's just get to he apparently named some of these guys that the president should order the Secretary of Defense, Mark Esper, to basically go after these guys. He says if Esper doesn't do it on his own, he thinks Trump should do it. And this is all about insurrection and all those kinds of things. It's not okay. It's definitely not acceptable. And to have generals right now that are stepping out and away from Trump and trying to basically say we don't support the president is a major problem. Now, one thing Trump does say, and we're going to hear it from his own lips, is the troops support him because he's given them 3 pay raises. He's actually fixed all their equipment, but the generals don't, and there's good reason for all that. So we'll get into that in a bit. Also, Biden's flip-flopped again. Surprise? No. Biden's rejecting federal mask mandate now over constitutional issue. Now, all of a sudden, he actually cares about the Constitution, cares about actually doing things that are fair and prohibiting this I'm going to tell you what to do and you have no choice in the matter. Obviously, that doesn't poll well because Biden doesn't do anything unless it's covered in the polls, period. He doesn't do anything. And well, he certainly doesn't remember anything either, but his speech writers don't write speeches unless, it's in the polls. But yeah, Democratic presidential nominee Joe Biden, in an interview on Sunday, has reversed his earlier stance on imposing a federal mask-wearing mandate, saying that if it were to win the race for the White House, he wouldn't force Americans to don facial coverings because he thinks such an order would likely violate the Constitution, though only weeks ago his stance was separate. So I don't think there's been any constitutionality differences in the meantime. So why did you change your mind? Oh, probably because Americans don't like the fact that you're going to come in and just be Mr. Dictator. Cuomo, speaking of dictators, kind of funny. He's ramping up his police state the way he wants it. He apparently wants a social distancing task force. Now, it's kind of funny. He seems to propose 2 options to us, and we're going to get to those in a sec. New York Governor Andrew Cuomo says a full-blown police state is necessary in the state before he allows restaurants to reopen for indoor dining. That means he's threatening a police state communist society if you want to eat inside as winter approaches. Cuomo said he would not allow indoor dining to return to New York City unless local politicians devoted significant police resources to enforcing social distancing and other reopening conditions. So essentially, he wants to be a totalitarian tyrant. So what it sounds like to me is he's posing 2 options. Here's your options, New Yorkers. Here's your 2 options. Either A, you accept my dictatorship, my communistic rule, where I can tell you exactly what you can do, how you can do it, and you must wear a face mask at all times. That's what I say as the person in power. Or his second choice is you just can't eat indoors during the winter in New York. And I don't know about you guys, but it gets freaking cold in the winter in New York. So kind of not a good idea. But Cuomo, what you're forgetting, Mr. Andrew, is there's a third choice. And that third choice is getting you out of office, which means people can start to do a petition to recall you. And that is choice number 3. Now, it hasn't happened yet, but it is happening in Seattle, and it's happening in one other place. I want to say it was Louisville or something like that. Cuomo, I'll bet you money you're next on the radar, buddy. And what's sad is New York's a very heavily Democrat state. Folks, the second we start hearing word of people starting a recall notice of him, that is when New York might possibly be able to turn into a red state, or at least purple, and have a chance at making some difference in that state for all those people. So Dictator Cuomo is trying to make things happen, and he's basically holding it over the heads of all the New Yorkers and saying, look, we're not going to give you back the things you want unless you do exactly as I say. A little heavy-handed, in my opinion. Now, something that's coming out and shouldn't be a big surprise, but the fact that they're talking about it now makes me think that he's probably the next to fall. We obviously had the lawyer, I can't remember his name right now, but the lawyer that changed the email and said that so-and-so wasn't working for the CIA when in fact they were. So now here we are looking at Mr. Deputy Assistant Director Peter Strzok and his lover, Lisa Page, as everyone likes to call her. Well, apparently this newly revised document showing that FBI agent Peter Strzok and other officials involved in the counterintelligence probe against Donald Trump's 2016 presidential election are in trouble. They're not giving us any extra information thus far. And of course, they're going to be a little tight-lipped on this. You know, loose lips sink ships, as they say. But the fact that they're calling it out and saying this guy's maybe in trouble, of course he is, but he's probably next on the radar. So another one of those names you want to keep in mind, be paying attention, because I think some more stuff's going to be coming out. Again, the calm before the storm. The storm is right around the corner. And I keep thinking they're giving the left people enough rope. Just keep giving them enough rope. And again, Trump's been really good about countering everything they've done, really, so far, with the exception of the information war, which we're working on it our own way. But outside of that, he seems like he's been prepared. His administration, his people have been prepared. So I think a lot of these things that are being talked about, he's already got preparation for. And I do have some more of those very same type of things we're going to be talking about coming up here. Now, another thing that's really getting a backlash, and it should, the fact that the left is able to do like whatever they want, it doesn't matter, but you can't. The hypocrisy is starting to drive people insane. Nancy Pelosi already acts like a freaking princess / queen anyways. She's already got this sort of weird sense of entitlement that if anyone talks to her in any sort of other ways, she shoots them down. I mean, when the press even tries to ask tough questions, she instantly puts them in their place. This is a person that's not used to being questioned at all. And she looks horrible right now. She has so much egg on her face. Now, granted, if she would have had a mask on, I wouldn't have seen all the egg on her face. No. But the fact that your mask was off, egg everywhere. Oh, eating crow too. You sick, sick, sick woman. Something else that's taken a bit of a beating right now, and this kind of gives you an idea of where the financial markets are. Now, one, there's a lot of question that the market right now is kind of not oversaturated, but almost over its wealth, almost over its worth. And there's a lot of people that are very concerned that we are in a bad place, that the all-time highs that we're seeing right now are maybe a little bit past the point that they should be. Also, there's a lot of concern about the election. Who's going to be in charge? Who's not going to be in charge? There's a huge push right now, a major push right now, just attacking Trump from about 8 different directions. It seems like it sparked up over the weekend. So a lot is going on. Of course, they've hated him all along. But we've got all of this talk about how they're going to do a coup to get him out. There's been more talk about this EMP threat that they're talking about. The economy's now starting to take a little bit of a tank. A lot of things are starting to happen in a weird way. And again, they're prepping us for the election. This is all about the election. So, of course, the EMP threat to the U.S. power grid has been identified just weeks ahead of vitally important election. Now, natural news, again, Mike Adams, sensational, always. EMP threat to U.S. power grid identified just weeks ahead of vitally important election. That's a completely 100% false statement. We've been talking about the EMP attack for a couple years. So again, maybe he found an article where they're finally talking about it. Good on you. Again, it's a good point to bring up and talk about. It's a great talking point. Now, there was a thing called black eye that Q had reference to at one point. Not sure what's going on with that, but they're talking about it. This is obviously a concern. We'll see. But there's been a great number of talks about a total cyber attack the day after the election, quite possibly an attack the day of the election, maybe to make normal voting possible or impossible. There's a lot of discussions around this. From what we've been told, they're prepared for it. And we'll see how that plays out. And again, this is stuff that's getting thrown on, just glommed on, the calm before the storm. There is a lot of things that are going to start to happen to all of us. Make sure you got your groceries. Make sure you've got plenty of toilet paper and all that stuff. Make sure you've got plenty of canned food to survive at home for a while. Make sure you've got some good dried proteins, beef jerky, things like that, where you can definitely have sources. Beans as well, another great dried source of protein. Things are going to get interesting, folks. Things are going to get very, very interesting. If you've got electric stoves at home, maybe figure out a way to get a camping one that does gas and get some gas, because you might lose your electricity for a day or two. Things to consider. But they're talking about it. It's not looking good. The economy's getting a little crazy right now. Again, people aren't sure what's going on. People think that maybe things are a little above what they should be. So do we have an adjustment coming maybe right before the election, right after? I think Trump's trying to get this to last just a hair longer. And then I think we're going to start to see this transition, this economy from more of a goods-based economy rather than this petrodollar economy that we've been in for many years. There's a lot of discussion that there may already be dual economies happening simultaneously. That trade agreement with Canada and Mexico, this alliance that they're forming with Australia, Japan, Korea, I think. Anyway, there's a few of them over in that area, and we're starting to make friends with some of the right people, and certainly in the South China Sea area. So again, a lot of things are truly starting to happen. Now, again, all of this leading up to the storm, this is the best I can think. Again, I was all over the place when I was pulling stories for this, and I'm like, why? There's no theme to this show. And then I realized that is the theme. There is no theme, and there's not. This is the calm before the storm. This is all the crazy stuff that's going on that we need to be aware of, that we need to be mindful of as we start to experience life, as we start to experience news stories, as we start to experience what people are talking about. These things need to be in the back of your mind. Zuckerberg's talking about will condition the American people that there is nothing illegitimate about this election. Facebook is already starting to prepare the public that there's going to be a delay because of the vote by mail. And it's perfectly normal, as they're going to say, although it's never happened in the past, except now because of the way things are, and because most of these states that have never done mail-in voting have no idea how to do it. And again, there's a distinction between absentee ballot mail-in voting and just sending everybody and their mother a ballot and having them mail it back. Two very different processes. So yes, we've always had absentee ballot for a very long time. You had to request the ballot. There were steps you had to go through. There was things you had to do, and you had to provide a reason. Just sending anybody and everybody, dead, alive, whether you're a dog, a cat, a boy, a girl, old enough, not old enough, you send everybody and their mother a ballot, and then they mail it back. That's vote by mail. That's not happened it's only happened in 6 states. So 6 states, Oregon being one of them, kind of have some practice, can do it. Their mail system's kind of used to it. They know how to ramp up for it. The other 54 states have no freaking clue. And New York, New Jersey were 2 examples of absolute, utter, complete, and total failure. Now, again, that's exactly what they want. They want to stall this election as long as possible because they believe that if they stall it and there's no official winner, then the Speaker of the House will become the president. If Nancy Pelosi becomes president, even for a day, the things that are going to happen in this country will probably scare all of us and will be permanent. And technically, if she does it through executive order, would be impossible to undo. So there's a lot of concern around that. My guess is the Patriots are prepared for this, but that's probably one of my single biggest concerns right now. Now, again, we've got that blockchain voting that I think is going to pop up as we get closer and closer. I think they're waiting just to get, again, hand them as much rope as you can. They're going to keep talking about vote by mail, vote by mail. Trump doesn't support vote by mail. Trump doesn't want America to survive. Trump doesn't want anything good to happen. And then Trump's going to come in and say, all right, we've got this blockchain voting. This is probably the safest, best way that we can allow everybody to vote safely and allow them to do it in such a way that we can actually count the votes quickly. The left is going to fight this, but they're not going to be able to. They're not going to be able to because Trump is providing a means to an end that's acceptable. And it's easier than mail. It really is, because now you don't have to worry about the sheer logistics of trying to mail all this stuff. And hopefully they've been working on this site where the voting is going to occur and getting everything all prepped up and ready to go for a while now. And in which case, it should be pretty easy to ramp up and get it going. I'm hoping they've done stress testing and all those things. So we'll see. Another thing to keep in mind, because again, we're a month away from probably getting that announcement, maybe-ish. So again, a lot of stuff is happening right now. The storm is serious. It's just barely off in the distance. Like it's almost here. You can already see the rain come, right? Like you can feel the wind. It's coming. It's very close. Now, this part's really cool, and President Trump getting a lot of flack right now for the fact that there's generals and whatnot that don't support him, that have come out and said, we don't support you. Now, again, in regards to the JAG, that's not okay. You're not allowed to do that. He's the commander-in-chief. So as a military individual, it is not okay to call him out and any number of other people. And so big no-no, big no-no. So President Trump's been hammered by the military-industrial complex during a press conference on Labor Day. Trump talked about his foreign policy agenda at the press conference in reference to recent fake news reports that he called dead military personnel losers and suckers. The president noted that his policy to bring the troops home have offended military brass and the national defense swamp. And it's also offended this guy, Robert J. O'Neill. And thank you for your service, sir. But here's a great little video that I want you guys to see.
Okay, can I get a day's rest? Is this election over with yet? Are we done lying to people? You hear it on the news all the time about people lying, fake news. That's my face. I'm here to tell you. It's not true. Look at that. People, stop using me for your propaganda, for your agenda. I'm not here for that. I don't know what Trump said, but I'm sure he didn't call me a loser. I didn't hear him call me a loser. So this has got to stop. Stop using my image. Fox News, call me, somebody. Let's get this out there on a bigger platform so people would know not to use me, not to put a face to whatever this is they think he said. It's ridiculous. Let's stop the shit. Let's move on. I'm not part of all this.
Amen, my brother. Amen. And thank you for the sacrifices, huge sacrifices you have made for our country. And I want to thank you for that. And secondly, Fox ain't going to call you, bro. Fox is deep state, man. I mean, again, they're easier to watch as far as mainstream media goes, but they are still deep state. When you get into Tucker and Hannity and Son, all right, yeah, you got a little more openness there, maybe, right? But they're daytime, completely deep state, completely. So again, this guy's calling out all these people that are using his image, saying that Trump called him a loser. And he's like, no, he didn't. And shut up. Stop saying it's not true. From the horse's mouth. Hello, thank you very much. So again, this is what we're being shown. They're taking anything they can and making it up. Anonymous sources said, Trump said old people suck. Who's the anonymous source? I can't tell you, it's anonymous. Huh? And then people believe it. Because, well, Trump hates old people. He says it all the time. When's he ever said that? All the time. When? Name one time. I don't know. All the time. It's ridiculous. Again, is it worth arguing with him? No, not really. I mean, seriously, it's not. I'd rather bang my head against the wall over and over and over. I'd probably get more accomplished that way. I could maybe hang a picture after a while, right? So I don't know, but it doesn't make any sense. Anyway, Trump has definitely pissed some people off, and he's talked about that a bunch. And as he said, it's not me they're after. They're after you. I'm just in the way. They're after us, really. He's in the way. So let's see what Trump's got to say in regards to all this crap that people are dumping on him.
With him, he's right on tape, and you don't want to cover it. You should be ashamed of yourselves. The press should be ashamed of themselves. But Biden shipped away our jobs, threw open our borders, and sent our youth to fight in these crazy, endless wars. And it's one of the reasons the military, I'm not saying the military is in love with me, the soldiers are. The top people in the Pentagon probably aren't, because they want to do nothing but fight wars so that all of those wonderful companies that make the bombs and make the planes and make everything else stay happy. But we're getting out of the endless wars. You know how we're doing. We defeated 100% of the ISIS caliphate. 100%. When I came in, it was a mess. It was all over. They have it in a certain color, all ISIS. A year later, I said, where is it? It's all gone, sir. Because of you, it's all gone. because of my philosophy, but be all gone.
Again, folks, the deep state isn't just this political party on the left. The deep state's also this Eisenhower industrial military complex that they've frequently talked about for many years. Now, I guess the old conspiracy goes, there was actually two deep states, if you will. There was two sides to this equation, and it seems like for the most part, they've kind of come together a little bit because they kind of need to. They ultimately still have the same goals in mind, just slightly different approaches to getting there. That being said, people are waking up to the fact that Trump is bringing troops home. Our sons and daughters are coming home. And we're able to finally start to work on our homeland and get it back up to snuff and maybe start working on some of the homeless and stuff like that. Some of these other real legitimate problems that we have in this country, rather than constantly running around and being police in all these other countries that don't even pay us. That's expensive defense that we're trying to provide the whole world. And I frankly, I love what Trump has done. I love the fact that he's pulling us out of that, making our military actually stronger right now, and really minimizing where he is involved. And of course, the South China Sea right now, really good place to be involved. Very good place to be involved. And all of you that think Russia is everything, well, I just recently shared a video too of how we've been flying B-52s up over the Black Sea and getting the Su-27s or 31s, I forget which plane they were, coming out to intercept. And in that interception process, we've been getting information from Russia, how they communicate, where the command and control is, how they kind of communicate this out. Again, we've been also screwing with Russia. We're also on top of Iran and Lebanon and Israel's like kind of like, we're just, hey, just be good too, right? Like you're our friend and all, but just don't do anything crazy. So again, we're trying to balance out a lot of crazy deep state action. And he's doing an amazing job, but it also takes all of us to pay attention, to notice what's happening, to look at separate sources, to actually try to look up, research things rather than just accept the Apple news feed or the news feed that you get. Go out and look for news. Find news. Don't wait for the news to come to you, because if it's coming to you, they're providing you their agenda. They're providing you their talking points. And really all it's doing is putting you into that little category where everybody else is. This is the time where we've all got to wake up. We've all got to play our individual parts in this. This is a big deal, and this is the freedom of the entire planet at stake here. I hate to make it sound big, but it is. There's a lot at stake. Look at what's going on around the world right now. England's having issues. There's issues in Iran, in Hong Kong. There's issues happening all over. Stuff is popping up all over the place. This is a worldwide power grab. And Trump got in the way and said, no, not here. England said, Brexit, we're getting the heck out of this. Australia's like, screw you, China, we're not doing this. People are putting their foots down collectively. We're doing way better than it may seem like when you talk to your liberal friends. Remember that. Remember that. I had a hard time yesterday too. It was just like, wow, man, this is brutal. But when you really do see what's going on, when you really do see that a lot of people are waking up to this, it starts to give you hope. And you start to realize, yeah, we're going to get through this. And that's the thing. This next couple months are going to be tough. And I don't want anybody out there to think they won't be. I don't think this is going to be a walk on the park. I don't think Trump's at some point just going to finally arrest the right people on the left's going to get quiet and be like, oh, God, we've been waiting forever. No, we're going to go through the election. It's going to ramp up the entire time. I'm hoping we can all behave. We'll see how this plays out. One thing we've got to remember, at least collectively, where we go one, we go all. Support each other. It's on the Fringe with Dan RadioStyle.